There's something deep inside you. Not a whisper, not a wish, but a roar buried under years of noise, silenced by fear, numbed by routine, and forgotten by a world that rewards comfort over courage. It's not gone. It's just waiting. Dormant, but alive. Your hidden potential. Not everyone hears it. Some ignore it, some bury it. Some pretend it was never there. But you feel it. In the quiet moments, in the stillness between distractions, a pressure in your chest, a tension in your soul, the voice that says, you were made for more, not more things, more truth, more impact, more becoming. And yet, so many never unlock it. Not because it's unreachable, but because it's unclaimed. Because they look for potential in the mirror, in the applause, in the results. But potential is not found. It's forged. Potential is not a gift. It's an inheritance that demands activation. And the first key is belief. Not belief in luck, not belief in hope, but belief in your capacity to rise, to transform, to shed the outdated version of yourself, and step fully into the beast you were always meant to become. You must believe that the gap between who you are and who you could be is not a canyon, it's a corridor, a hallway of discipline, decisions, and design. You must believe that greatness is not reserved for the chosen few, but for the few who choose it daily, deliberately, and without excuse. Belief is the spark, but it's not enough. You must build what you believe, and you start by mastering your mindset. Because every prison begins in the mind, and every revolution begins there too. The world told you to be realistic, to play it safe, to shrink your dreams into digestible pieces. But potential does not live in logic. It lives in possibility. It breathes in the lungs of the visionary. It thrives in the minds of those who reject mediocrity like poison. You must rewire the lens through which you see yourself. Not based on your past, but based on your future identity. Stop asking what you're capable of based on where you've been. Ask based on who you must become. Your mind must serve your mission, not your memory. Burn the idea that you're stuck. You're not a tree. You move, you grow, you transform. When you command your thoughts, you command your outcomes. When you elevate your inner dialogue, you elevate your entire life. And from that mindset flows clarity. Clarity is power. Without it, your energy leaks. Your potential dilutes. You chase shadows instead of building empires. Clarity means knowing the target. Not the one the world told you to want, but the one your soul demands. What do you actually want? Not vaguely, not someday, precisely. Because you cannot hit a target you won't define. You cannot climb a mountain you refuse to name. And don't just chase goals, build standards. Goals are dreams with deadlines. Standards are expectations with consequences. Raise your standards, and your potential stops being optional. Clarity makes your decisions inevitable. When your why is solid, your what becomes automatic and your how begins to appear. From clarity emerges vision, the art of seeing what isn't visible yet. And make no mistake, vision is not fantasy. It's future reality painted in the colors of conviction. Vision doesn't beg for permission. It demands execution. And the clearer your vision, the less validation you need. You stop waiting for the world to understand and start building it anyway. You stop waiting for the perfect time, because the perfect time doesn't exist. There is only now, and now is always sacred. So speak your vision into the silence. Write it, shout it, commit to it like it's your only shot, because it is. But vision alone is not the lockpick to your potential. You need purpose. Without purpose, the vision is hollow. Purpose turns your goals into a mission. It connects your grind to something greater than results, greater than ego, greater than money. Purpose is the anchor that keeps you grounded when life throws its weight against you. And it will. The storms don't ask if you're ready. They just arrive. And when they do, your purpose will be the only voice loud enough to remind you why you began. Find it. Feed it. Follow it. It may come through pain. It may come through silence. It may come through loss. But when it come ashonner it, let it refine your steps. Let it set fire to your excuses. With purpose in your chest and vision in your eyes, you become undeniable. But none of it matters without discipline. Because the potential inside you is not unlocked through passion. It's unlocked through practice. Discipline is the bridge between thought and transformation. You don't need to feel like it. You need to do it anyway. Because champions are not created in moments of motivation. They are revealed in the dark hours, the quiet reps, the boring, brutal, beautiful consistency that nobody claps for. Discipline doesn't care about your feelings. It serves your future. It shows up when motivation dies, when the world stops watching, when your results are still invisible. And discipline, practiced long enough, becomes identity. I am someone who shows up. I am someone who follows through. I am someone who honors their potential. Say it until it becomes true, until you stop negotiating with weakness, until the habits become muscle memory and the standard becomes instinct. Because action is not just what you do, it's who you become. And action is the next key. Because action is the catalyst, the dividing line, the point of no return. You can believe with fire, think with clarity, speak with conviction, but if you do not move, you do not transform. Action is the great translator. It turns inner potential into outer reality. It takes dreams off the shelf and forges them into form. But don't just act. Act strategically. Act intentionally. The difference between movement and progress is alignment. Stop confusing being busy with being productive. Stop mistaking noise for momentum. Every action must be tied to the person you're becoming, not the comfort you're protecting. Ask yourself, is this action worthy of the future I want? If it's not, cut it, strip it, replace it. Your time is currency. Your energy is sacred. You cannot afford the luxury of distraction. And here's the thing, they won't see the work at first. They won't clap. They won't get it. But that's good. That's a gift. Because silence trains your integrity. It sharpens your hunger. It tests whether you're doing it for attention or for alignment. Those who build in silence are the ones who last. But the weight of action, the cost of commitment requires fuel. And that fuel is gratitude. Gratitude is not weakness. It is not soft. It is one of the most strategic tools for unlocking potential. Why? Because a grateful mind is a present mind, and a present mind is a powerful one. When you're grateful, you see. You see how far you've come. You see the lessons inside the losses. You see the opportunity inside the challenge. Gratitude isn't about being content with less. It's about being empowered by what you already have so you can build more. Gratitude keeps you grounded in truth, not panic. It keeps your heart open in the grind. It protects your joy from erosion. And joy is a secret weapon. Because the one who loves the process will always outlast the one addicted to results. But to sustain that gratitude, to hold that fire, you must master adaptability. Because the path will not go as planned. The market will shift. The people will change. The storms will come. And the rigid will break. Adaptability is the wisdom to evolve without losing your essence. It is the art of adjusting your method without abandoning your mission. You must be anchored in principle, but fluid in approach. The most powerful version of you is not the most stubborn, it's the most strategic. The one who learns, who shifts, who moves forward anyway. Because the goal is not to control everything, it's to stay aligned, no matter what changes. And alignment demands resilience. Resilience is more than survival. It's the ability to rise with more wisdom, more grit, more clarity after every fall. You will be knocked down. You will fail. You will question everything. But resilience is the voice inside that says, this is not where I end. This is where I refine. Resilience is earned in the trenches, in the tears, in the moments where quitting looks noble, but staying looks divine. You get up, you rebuild, you reinforce your standard, because your potential doesn't shrink when life gets hard, it sharpens. Every challenge is not the end of your story. It is a chapter in your evolution. And as you evolve, you learn. You must. Which brings us to the final key learning. Lifelong, hungry, obsessed learning. Not academic, not passive, but learning that is applied. Learning that transforms. Because the person you are today cannot hold the weight of the future you crave. You must grow into it. And that growth comes through humility. The humility to admit you don't know everything. The humility to seek mentors. The humility to stay a student, even when you become a master. Your ego will scream that you've made it, but your purpose will whisper, there's more. The moment you think you've arrived is the moment your potential begins to rot. Stay hungry. Stay curious. Stay in pursuit of the next edge, the next truth, the next level, because you were never meant to plateau. You were meant to elevate over and over again. Then breathe in deeply, because this is the final ignition. The moment the words become a mirror, the moment you stop listening and start becoming, you have felt it, that fire, that quiet ache, that unexplainable pull towards something greater. It is not random. It is not a phase. It is the call of your own becoming. This is the hour of awakening, not a motivation, not a pep talk, an awakening. To remember who you are, to return to what was buried beneath the noise, to unlock the version of you that doesn't beg life for permission, but commands it with alignment. Because here's what no one told you. You don't have to earn your potential. You were born with it, but you do have to activate it. With belief, clarity, vision, purpose, with discipline, action, gratitude, adaptability, with resilience and learning relentlessly. You unlock your potential by living on the edge of discomfort. You unlock your potential by choosing truth over ease. You unlock your potential by saying yes to the version of you that terrifies your comfort zone. Because that version, the one who builds, who leads, who becomes the example, is already inside you. Right now, it's not a future version. It's a hidden one, hidden beneath delay, hidden beneath self-doubt, hidden beneath stories you didn't even write but kept repeating. But the keys have been given. The lock is in front of you. And now the choice is yours. Will you go back to normal? Back to average? Back to a life where potential dies in the dark? Or will you rise? Will you walk forward shaking, uncertain, but undeniably ready? Will you unlock that door? Because on the other side is not just success, not just freedom, not just a better life. On the other side is you, fully alive, fully awake, fully unstoppable. The world does not need another person playing small. It needs you, unleashed, the real you, the hidden potential set free. So go now, unlock it, live it, become it, and don't look back. You don't need more time. You need urgency, because the clock isn't waiting, and life doesn't slow down for anyone who says, maybe later. There's a lie we're told, that youth is for drifting, that discipline is for someday, that habits can wait until we're older, wiser, more ready. But here's the truth. Every day you delay the right habits is a day you pay double later. Not in money, but in missed momentum, in lost confidence, in unrealized potential. You don't rise because of one big decision. You rise because of the small things you start early. The habits that seem small now, but become powerful forces later. Because success isn't something you chase. It's something you align with. And alignment begins with your habits. So if you want a life that compounds in your favor, start sooner. Move sooner. Build sooner. Not perfectly. Not dramatically. But intentionally. Because the greatest regret of most people isn't that they failed. It's that they waited too long to begin. And by the time they realized the cost of delay, the gap between who they were and who they could have been became too wide to cross. So let's change that right now. Let's go deep. Let's name the 10 habits you should have started yesterday, but can own today. Habits that don't just improve your productivity, they transform your identity. Habit 1, build a mindset ritual every morning. Your morning isn't just the start of your day, it's the shaping of your identity. Most people wake up into the world's agenda. They open their phone and invite in noise. They scroll and invite in comparison. They rush and invite in chaos. But not you. Not anymore. You don't rise to check your notifications. You rise to check your alignment. Because your mind is the command center of your life, and if you don't lead it, something else will. You don't need hours. You need intention. Just 10 to 15 minutes of conscious thought every morning can rewire your focus, your energy, and your emotional stamina for the entire day. Affirm your identity. Visualize your next level. Speak truth louder than fear. Review your mission, not just your tasks. Because when you start your day by training your thinking, you no longer react to life. You create it. Habit 2, read to think, not just to know. Reading is not about hoarding knowledge. It's about sharpening the tool that moves the world, your mind. Most people read to sound smart. You read to become clear. Just 10 pages a day done consistently turns into 15 Yayone books a year. And those books, they become lenses. They become weapons. They become maps when you're lost and fuel when you're tired. You want to get ahead of 90% of people? Read while they scroll. Learn while they sleep. Expand while they react. Not all leaders have degrees, but all great leaders are readers, not just of words, but of wisdom. Habit 3, track your energy like you track your time. Most people manage schedules. Few manage stamina. But what's the point of a perfect calendar if you show up to it exhausted, reactive, or numb? Track when you feel strongest. Track what drains you. Track what feeds your soul, not just your wallet. Because success isn't just about doing more. It's about protecting the energy that makes more possible. And when you know how to guard, refill, and direct your energy, you don't just do more. You become unshakable. Habit 4, practice relentless self-reflection. Most people move through life reacting. They repeat yesterday without realizing it. They make the same choices, expect different outcomes, and wonder why nothing changes. But not the masters, not the ones who build a life of meaning. Because powerful people don't just take action, they take inventory. Every day, even for 5 minutes, they ask themselves, what did I do well today? What did I avoid that I should have faced? Where did I shrink? Where did I grow? What story did I live? And is it the one I want to keep living tomorrow? Self-reflection is not overthinking. It's not self-criticism. It's self-leadership. Because the person who reflects adjusts, and the person who adjusts accelerates. It's not about beating yourself up. It's about knowing yourself deeply so no pattern can sneak by unnoticed. Habit 5, speak with precision. Words are not decorations. They are directions. What you speak is what you move toward. If you say you're always tired, never lucky, just average, don't be surprised when your life follows. The most powerful people are not the loudest. They're the clearest. They don't talk to impress. They speak to align. They declare their goals. They affirm their standards. They correct their inner voice. Because every time you speak with intention, you write a new script for your identity. And when your identity sharpens, your life obeys. So start earlier. Choose your words like tools. Shape them like instruments. Wield them like architects because they're building you. Habit 6, protect your circle. The people around you are not neutral. They either pull you forward or drag you down. They either fuel your fire or fan your fear. You become the standard of your environment. Hang around complainers, and excellence feels extreme. Hang around growth-minded souls, and greatness feels normal. So don't just choose your goals. Choose your table. Choose who gets access to your ears, your time, your energy. Protect it like your future depends on it, because it does. Habit 7. Master the art of follow through. Everybody starts. Few finish. And that's where the game is won, not in beginning, but in becoming someone who follows through. Because motivation fades, hype disappears, but identity sticks. And when you become the kind of person who does what they say, no matter how small the task, you become dangerous. You build trust with yourself. And that trust, it's the foundation of confidence. Not the fake kind that needs applause. The real kind, forged in the silence of daily discipline. It's better to complete one promise a day than to start a dozen and finish none. Because execution compounds. It trains your nervous system to associate action with integrity. And that's when things move fast, not because you hustle harder, but because you don't stop. You don't flinch. You don't stall. You move. Habit 8. Prioritize internal wins over external validation. Likes don't make you better. Followers don't make you freer. Praise doesn't mean progress. True power is built in private. It's in what you do when no one's watching. It's in who you are when there's no reward. It's the silent victories, the workout you finished, the temptation you resisted, the commitment you honored when it would have been easy not to. Because external validation is addictive. But internal validation, that's sovereignty. That's what makes you unstoppable. Because when you no longer need applause to move, you become the kind of person the world starts to follow anyway. Habit 9. Create before you consume. Most people wake up and absorb. They scroll. They check. They react. And before they've even spoken to themselves, they've absorbed 100 voices louder than their own. But not you. You create first. You build before you binge. You write, think, plan, initiate, even just for 10 minutes before you open the door to the world. Because when you create first, you anchor yourself. You decide who you are before the world tells you. And that shift, it gives you control. You no longer drift through your day. You design it. Habit 10. Build a daily relationship with gratitude. This isn't fluff. This isn't a feel-good exercise. This is foundation. Gratitude is not passive. It's not a cute quote or a morning ritual checkbox. It's a discipline of awareness, a habit that trains your mind to see strength instead of scarcity, lessons instead of losses, opportunity instead of overwhelm. Because no matter how powerful your vision is, if you don't appreciate what you have right now, you'll sabotage the future you say you want. Gratitude protects your focus. Gratitude sharpens your peace. Gratitude reminds you that you're not starting from lack, you're building from abundance, from enough, from now. The most successful people on the planet, they're not just aggressive about growth, they're anchored in gratitude. That's why they can handle the pressure. That's why they don't break when life squeezes them. Because they've trained their eyes to see what matters even in the dark. So, stop waiting to be grateful. Start choosing it. Daily. Deliberately. Because gratitude is not what you feel after life gets better. Gratitude is what makes life worth living today. Now, you have the habits. 10 of them. Simple, but powerful. And when you start them earlier, you don't just get ahead. You build a life that pulls you forward with purpose. One where clarity is your compass. Discipline is your engine. And gratitude is your gravity. Because greatness is never built overnight. It's built daily, in small choices, repeated with intention, lived with conviction, and started before it's convenient. So start now, even if you're not ready, even if it feels small, even if no one's watching. Because one day, you'll look back and realize these weren't just habits. They were the beginning of who you became. Confidence is not magic. It's not mystery. It is not reserved for the chosen few. Confidence is earned, constructed, designed. And at the root of it, beyond every speech, every breakthrough, every moment of courage is learning. Because confidence is not the absence of fear. It is the deep, unshakable belief that you can handle it. That whatever comes, you have the tools, the mind, the knowledge to bend reality in your favor. And that belief is born through a life of intentional learning, not casual consumption. Not scrolling, not skimming, but deep, aggressive, purpose-driven learning that doesn't just fill your mind. It transforms your identity. Learning is not an academic exercise. It is the furnace where power is forged. It is how kings rise, how giants build, how underdogs become legends. And if you want unstoppable confidence, you must stop dabbling in learning like it's a side quest and make it your obsession. Start by learning like your life depends on it. Because it does. When the world collapses, when economies crumble, when relationships shift, when certainty disappears, what do you fall back on? Not titles, not trophies. You fall back on what you know, on what you've trained for. And most of all, on who you've become through every book, every lecture, every failure studied and turned into fuel. You cannot shrink your way to greatness. You must grow your way there. And growth demands strategy, because random learning builds scattered confidence. But strategic learning builds unshakable confidence. So we begin at the foundation. Radical learning strategy. 1. Learn with fire, not frost. Most people learn like it's a cold transaction. They read like machines. They highlight like robots. No soul, no fire, no urgency. And that's why they forget. That's why it never sinks in. Because their mind is awake, but their spirit is asleep. You must learn like a man drowning learns to swim. With intensity. With presence. With the kind of hunger that scares the average. When you read, don't just underline. Engage. Talk to the page. Argue with the author. Extract truth like it's a treasure hidden in every sentence. You must stop reading like a student and start reading like a warrior sharpening his blade before battle. Learning is not passive. It's war. It's training. It's the conscious act of rising. Radical learning strategy. 2. Apply within 24 hours or die. Knowledge that is not applied becomes weight. It slows you down. It tricks you into thinking you're growing when you're just collecting ideas with no roots. If you want confidence, you must move knowledge into action fast, within 24 hours. Not someday, not next week, now. Read something and immediately speak it, teach it, use it, write it, apply it, turn insight into action before it turns to dust. Because repetition is the mother of skill, but application is the mother of confidence. You do not become wise by what you know. You become wise by what you do with what you know. Radical learning strategy 3, learn out loud. The quiet learner is often the insecure one. They learn, but they hide it. They journal in silence. They memorize in shadows. But if you want confidence, you must learn in the open. Teach what you're learning. Speak it. Post it. Share it. Not to impress, but to impress it deeper into your soul. Because the moment you explain something to others, your understanding deepens. Your clarity sharpens. Your certainty expands. Leaders don't hoard knowledge. They circulate it. Speak what you're learning not once, but daily. Make it part of your vocabulary. Let it become your language. Because confidence grows in the space between learning and declaring. Radical learning strategy. 4. Learn through identity, not just information. You are not just a student. You are not just reading a book. You are becoming someone. And the fastest way to grow is not just to learn facts, it's to shift your identity. When you read, don't just ask, what am I learning? Ask, who am I becoming by learning this? Knowledge must not stay external. It must redefine who you believe you are. If you read about discipline, say, I am a disciplined person. If you learn about leadership, say, I lead with conviction. Don't wait for the results to appear before you claim the identity. The results come after you step into the role. You don't become confident when you finally achieve. You become confident when you decide who you are. Radical learning strategy. 5. Seek tension, not comfort. The average learner avoids what's hard. They stay in the shallow end. They reread what they already know. But comfort learning creates fragile confidence, the kind that crumbles under pressure. You must seek tension, mental tension, conceptual tension. Stretch your mind. Wrestle with new ideas. Read things that challenge you. Listen to people who disagree with you. Train yourself to be uncomfortable in the unknown. Because when your brain gets used to discomfort, your soul becomes fearless. Confidence is not the result of ease. It's the product of adaptation. You stretch, you struggle, and then one day you realize what used to break you now builds you. Radical learning strategy. 6. Track your learning like a scientist. If you treat your learning like a hobby, you'll get hobby-level results. But if you treat it like a mission, a science, a system, everything changes. Track what you learn. Daily, weekly. Use a journal, a spreadsheet, a voice memo. Doesn't matter how, what matters is intention. Write down the ideas that moved you. Track the skills you practiced. List the books you finished. Reflect on the concepts that transformed your thinking. Because what gets tracked gets refined. And what gets refined becomes mastery. You're not just consuming. You're building a library of power, a body of work, a fortress of truth that no recession, no critic, no crisis can take from you. Radical learning strategy. 7. Learn in multiple modes, not one. Confidence doesn't grow from repetition alone. It grows from depth. And depth comes when you learn through different doors. Don't just read the book. Watch the lecture. Listen to the podcast. Write about the concept. Teach it to someone. Debate it. Sketch it. Move with it. Every new mode activates a different part of your brain and locks the lesson deeper inside you. The more ways you experience an idea, the more it becomes part of your default operating system. Learning is not just about exposure. It's about immersion. Radical learning strategy 8. Curate your learning like a billionaire. Time is your most precious asset. And every book, every video, every idea you consume is either fueling your fire or smothering it. You must curate what enters your mind like a billionaire curates investments, with discernment, with standards, with a fierce rejection of anything that doesn't serve your highest path. Don't read what's trendy. Read what's timeless. Don't learn from the loudest voice. Learn from the wisest. Don't consume content because it's easy. Consume because it's essential. Your mind is a vault. Guard the door. Radical learning strategy. 9. Learn with a vision, not just a goal. Goals are good, but they're not enough. Confidence is not built by hitting numbers. It's built by moving toward a vision that excites your spirit. When you sit down to learn, don't just think, I want to read 10 pages. Think, this page is building the future version of me, the one who speaks on stages, who leads movements, who creates legacy. Connect your learning to your why, to your future, to the version of you that people haven't met yet, but who already exists inside you, waiting to be unleashed. Vision gives learning weight. It turns words into weapons. Radical learning strategy. 10. Build confidence through creation. Learning is not complete until it becomes creation. Real confidence doesn't come from knowing. It comes from making, from taking the ideas and building something with your hands, your words, your presence. Write an article. Film a video. Build a project. Solve a problem. Create a resource. Don't just collect ideas, convert them into impact. Because when you make something, you realize, I'm not just a student. I'm a force. I'm not just learning, I'm shaping the world. Creation is the final step in the cycle of confidence. Because confidence is not a mystery. It is a method. It is the compound interest of every page studied, every principle applied, every discomfort embraced, every action taken while the heart was still afraid. Confidence does not belong to the lucky. It belongs to the learned. And the greatest learners are not the ones with the highest IQ. They are the ones with the highest intensity. The ones who chase knowledge like it's oxygen, who wrestle with ideas until truth is revealed, who don't stop at, I get it, but keep going until I embody it. You want confidence? Then learn like your future depends on it. Because it does. There's a quiet war happening inside of you. A tension between the life you've accepted and the life you know you're meant to live. Not just career success, not just personal growth, but total transformation, where every fiber of who you are evolves into something unshakable, undeniable, unstoppable. And the truth is, you don't need more time. You don't need more motivation. You need to decide once and for all that average is no longer welcome at your table. Because the life you want, the career you crave, the future you feel buried beneath the distractions, it's not far. It's just on the other side of alignment. You don't get there by chasing approval. You get there by upgrading your philosophy. Because personal and professional development aren't separate roads. They are one road. And the vehicle that drives it is who you become. The first key is this. Own your mindset like it's your most valuable asset. Because it is. Everything begins in the mind. Your results, your actions, your habits, your emotions, your income, all of it. The mind is the lens through which you interpret possibility. And if the lens is cracked with doubt, fear, or scarcity, you'll never see clearly. You've been conditioned to react, to consume, to compare, but none of that serves the person you are becoming. You must train your mind to think for your vision, not for your limitations. That means turning off the noise and turning on the awareness. What are you allowing into your consciousness? Who are you giving influence over your attention? Because whatever you feed grows. And if you feed your mind with garbage, don't be surprised when your results start to rot. But when you reprogram your thinking, when you refuse to let old narratives dictate new chapters, everything changes. You begin to move with intention. You begin to become dangerous to mediocrity. Your belief system begins to fortify. And belief, that's where everything takes root. You must believe that your growth is non-negotiable, that you are allowed to evolve beyond what your past suggests, that you have the right to redefine your identity based on who you want to become, not who they told you you were. Belief is not a soft emotion. It's a fierce commitment. It's waking up and saying, I am no longer available for playing small. I am done entertaining self-doubt as if it deserves a seat at my table. Because when belief meets behavior, momentum becomes inevitable. That's when you stop drifting. That's when you start designing with clarity. And clarity is not optional, it's the ignition switch. Without clarity, your potential is scattered. Your energy leaks. Your goals stay dreams because your direction is fuzzy. But with clarity, everything aligns. You stop asking what to do next because you've decided who you are and where you're going. Clarity is when your vision becomes a vow, not a wish, not a someday, a vow. And that vow begins to shape your time, your focus, your network, your habits. Clarity builds structure, and structure builds confidence. That's when you create a career, not just a job, a life, not just a schedule. And that life must be infused with vision, because you cannot rise beyond what you refuse to imagine. If your vision is small, your actions will be hesitant. But if your vision is grand, specific, and powerful, it will pull you through every obstacle. Vision gives pain a purpose. It gives failure context. It makes the grind sacred. You're not just working. You're building a legacy. You're crafting a reality that others will one day call inspiration. Your vision is the compass that keeps you on course, even when the storm rages. And storms will rage. That's why you need purpose. Purpose is the fuel you drink when energy runs dry. It's what keeps you going when no one's watching. It's what makes the process meaningful, not just mechanical. Purpose turns ambition into service. It's not just about climbing, it's about what you carry as you rise, who you lift, what problems you solve, what impact you make beyond the numbers, beyond the applause. Purpose is what roots your development so deeply that nothing can shake it. But purpose without discipline is just potential dressed as passion. Discipline is what turns your ideas into evidence. It's the promise you keep to yourself. It's the choice to honor your future self when comfort begs for attention. Discipline is brutal and beautiful. It means you train when it's hard. You study when it's boring. You show up when it's quiet. You push through when your mind says stop, because you've rewired your identity to act in alignment with your purpose. And the greatest discipline of all? Consistency, showing up again and again and again. And from that consistency, you begin to develop something even more dangerous than ambition: momentum. Momentum makes you magnetic. People start to notice. Opportunities begin to shift. But not because they're magical, because you've become someone that cannot be ignored. And now you move into action. Real, tangible, aligned action. Not the kind that just fills your calendar, the kind that builds your character. You make the call. You launch the idea. You start the project. You stop waiting for clarity to feel good, and you start creating clarity through motion. You act because the version of you who waits dies slowly. But the version of you who acts, who risks, who speaks truth into fear, that version becomes unstoppable. And with action comes the need for gratitude. Not the casual kind, the deep cellular gratitude that grounds you in the present. Because success without gratitude is bankruptcy. If you can't find joy now, you won't find it with more. Gratitude is what sharpens your vision and protects your peace. It reminds you how far you've come and strengthens your courage to keep going. Because once you've built the belief, the mindset, the clarity, the vision, once your purpose has lit the fire and discipline has kept it burning, once you've started to act, to move, to build, now you must learn to bend without breaking. This is where adaptability enters the frame. You see, life doesn't hand you a straight path. It twists, it turns, it punches without warning. And in those moments, it's not the smartest who win, it's the ones who adjust, who bend with the wind but never lose their roots. You must become flexible in strategy but immovable in mission. You must evolve, shift, pivot, rework, but never retreat from who you are becoming. Adaptability is not weakness. It is mastery in motion. It is power refined. The willingness to release what no longer serves your next level, even if it once served your survival. You will outgrow systems. You will outgrow roles. You will outgrow people. Let them go with grace, not guilt. Because if you're holding on to the old out of obligation, you're sacrificing the new out of fear. And fear is the gatekeeper of every next level, which is why the next trait, the next profound key in both personal and career evolution is resilience. Resilience is forged in silence. It is the quiet, unseen, unglamorous decision to rise anyway, to keep building when it breaks, to keep believing when it's not working, to keep becoming when nothing makes sense. Resilience doesn't scream, it doesn't post, it doesn't seek pity. Resilience whispers, I'm not done. And it's that whisper that keeps you moving through rejection, through burnout, through betrayal, through delay, through drought. Because you know this, the process is not punishing you, it's preparing you. Every hit you take becomes a layer of armor. Every loss becomes a lesson embedded into your foundation. And over time, the world stops seeing a person, they start seeing a force. But to harness that force, to refine it and expand it, you must never stop learning. Never. Learning is not school. It is not a phase. It is a posture. The most dangerous people in the world are not the ones who know everything. They're the ones who are obsessed with growing. You must learn from failure. Learn from feedback. Learn from silence. Learn from those ahead of you. Learn from your past. And most of all, learn from your pain. Because pain is a professor that never lies. It strips away illusion. It exposes your edges. And if you listen, it teaches you everything you need to become unshakable. Let the world chase trends. Let the shallow chase applause. You chase depth, chase truth, chase the edge of your potential like your life depends on it. Because it does. Your life, your career, your impact, none of it is separate. It is all one life, and it is passing by whether you rise or not. So choose to rise, not by chance, but by choice. A choice backed by belief. A choice empowered by clarity. A choice fueled by purpose, forged by discipline, guided by action, anchored in gratitude, flexible through adaptability, sustained by resilience, and elevated through learning. This is how you evolve. This is how you build. This is how you become. And one day soon they'll ask, how did you do it? How did you build so high, so wide, so deep? And you'll answer, not with ego, but with truth. I didn't wish for it. I didn't wait for it. I worked for it. Strategically, deliberately, relentlessly. Because success, real success, lasting success is not given. It is earned. And now, you're ready to earn every inch of it. There comes a time in every life when excuses no longer suffice. When the mirror starts to speak louder than the world. When the cost of staying the same becomes heavier than the fear of change. And it is in that moment, silent, powerful, private, that a new life begins. Not the life given by chance, the life chosen by decision. And at the root of every chosen life is discipline. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you could be. It is the difference between dreams that die on paper and visions that manifest in reality. It is the code of kings, the armor of warriors, the language of those who refuse to settle. And no, it is not born. It is built. Built through repetition, built through resistance, built through decisions that whisper, not now, not yet, not this time. Discipline is not punishment. It is protection. Protection from the future regret of a life lived at half volume. It is the ability to say yes to your purpose by saying no to your impulses. And if you desire a life of greatness, not hype, but honor, you must master it. The first skill of self-discipline is awareness. You cannot master what you do not see. And most people are sleepwalking, reacting, not reflecting. You must become a student of your own patterns. What triggers you? What tempts you? What makes you numb your ambition? Track it, journal it, watch yourself like a hawk. Because once you become aware of your default settings, you gain the power to override them. Your awareness is the steering wheel. Without it, your life is a runaway train. The second skill is delayed gratification. The ability to trade what you want now for what you want most. This is the battlefield where self-discipline is forged. And it begins in the smallest moments, choosing water over soda, silence over snapping, reading over scrolling. Every choice you make sends a message to your brain about what kind of person you are. And over time, those messages compound into identity. And once identity locks in, behavior follows. So don't just say, I'm trying to be disciplined. Say, I am the kind of person who does what must be done. Say it, mean it, prove it. The third skill is habit design. Self-discipline without systems is just willpower on life support. You can't rely on motivation. You can't trust your feelings. You need habits so ingrained, so rooted in your rhythm, that not doing them feels unnatural. Discipline is not about forcing yourself through pain every day. It's about setting up your environment so success becomes easier than failure. It's about friction. Add it to the bad habits. Remove it from the good ones. Put your phone across the room. Prep your meals. Set your clothes out the night before. Remove choice. Make discipline automatic. The fourth skill is mental rehearsal, visualization, not fantasy training. Athletes do it. Champions live it. See yourself doing the hard thing before the moment arrives. See yourself pushing through, smiling under pressure, holding the line when comfort calls. The mind does not know the difference between real and vividly imagined. Use that to your advantage. Train your nervous system for discipline. Picture the scenario. See the decision. Feel the strength. Then when the real moment comes, you'll move without hesitation. Discipline isn't just muscle. It's memory. The fifth skill is self-talk mastery. Words are not cheap, they are commands. And the words you whisper to yourself when no one is listening are the ones that shape your limits. You must become the coach in your own head. Relentless, grounded, focused. No more, I'll try. No more, I'm just not that kind of person. No more, I always mess this up. Speak as the person you intend to become, even when it feels like a lie. Because eventually, your behavior catches up to your belief. Tell yourself the truth, not about where you are, but where you're going. The sixth skill is urgency. Not panic, not chaos, urgency. A deep awareness that time is your most precious resource and you don't get refunds. Most people are casual with their time because they believe they have more of it. They don't. Discipline begins when you treat your hours like gold. When you schedule your priorities instead of prioritizing your schedule. When you move through the day like someone with a mission because you are. Procrastination is not a time issue. It is a value issue. You don't procrastinate on things that matter to you. So either raise your value or watch your life decay in delay. The seventh skill is energy management. Self-discipline requires fuel, and you cannot pour from an empty vessel. Sleep, hydrate, move, eat clean. Protect your energy like it's your last breath, because without it, every goal becomes heavier, every temptation becomes louder, and every win slips further away. This is not luxury, it's leverage. Your body is your engine, and when it runs clean, your discipline runs strong. The eighth skill is accountability. We are not designed to thrive in isolation. Find someone who calls you out, not someone who claps for your mediocrity, but someone who reminds you who you said you'd be. Discipline dies in secrecy, but in the light of truth, it sharpens. Join a group, hire a coach, declare your goals publicly, create stakes, make failure painful, make quitting embarrassing, not because you need shame, but because you need structure. Pressure is not your enemy. It is your ally when properly applied. The ninth skill is recovery, not escape, not distraction. Recovery. You are not a robot. Discipline is not about burning out. It is about knowing when to pause with purpose, when to step back. Reflect, realign, rejuvenate. True discipline is not rigidity. It is rhythm. Push hard, rest smart, come back stronger. And finally, the 10th skill is identity reinforcement. You don't become disciplined by doing one hard thing. You become disciplined by becoming someone who does hard things regularly. Discipline is a language, a lifestyle, a lens. And every day you must remind yourself who you are and what you stand for. Write it, speak it, live it. I am not average. I am not casual. I am not impulsive. I am disciplined. I lead myself. I keep my word. I build myself brick by brick. Say it until it becomes more real than your doubts. Say it until you feel it in your bones. Say it and then live it until the world believes it too. Because at the end of the day, discipline is not just what you do. It is who you become. And who you become determines everything. So when the world tells you, take it easy, you respond with presence, not passivity. You smile, not because it's easy, but because you've trained for this. You've sculpted your habits in private so you could stand in power in public. Discipline is a quiet storm. It doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to explain. It simply shows up rain or shine and does the work. And over time, that work builds something unshakable inside you. Because discipline is not about getting everything right. It's about not quitting when it goes wrong. It's not about perfect days. It's about showing up on the imperfect ones. It's not about avoiding failure. It's about refusing to be owned by it. Each setback is simply resistance training for your character. Each temptation resisted is a vote for the person you're becoming. Each act of restraint is a declaration. I lead myself. And in a world where everyone is led by trends, moods, and cravings, that kind of leadership is revolutionary. That kind of leadership is rare. That kind of leadership is earned. So earn it. Let your calendar speak for your discipline. Let your body reflect your respect. Let your routine scream your readiness. Let your results be your reputation. You don't need to tell people you're disciplined. They'll feel it. In your presence, in your punctuality, in your consistency, in the gravity of your word. Because people respect what is rooted. And you are becoming rooted. No more waiting, no more hoping, no more someday. This is your life, your one shot. And the gap between your current self and your highest self will not close with comfort. It will not close with convenience. It will only close with conviction. Discipline is the path. It is the hammer that forges mastery. It is the anchor that holds through the storm. It is the crown worn by those who have tamed their chaos, directed their focus, and chosen to become uncommon. So choose. Choose now. And never again let the soft voice of comfort override the loud call of destiny. Because while talent can open the door, discipline is what walks you through it and keeps you there. And when you walk through that door, the one forged by effort, lit by vision, and held open by persistence, you don't walk in as a guest. You walk in as the owner. Because discipline doesn't borrow success, it builds it. Every rep, every page, every early rise, every quiet no to comfort, these aren't just actions, they are bricks. Bricks in the house called self-respect. Bricks in the cathedral of your identity. And the more you lay, the stronger it stands. Until one day, what was once a fragile hope becomes an unbreakable standard. That's the real reward of discipline. Not just the body, not just the business, not just the freedom, but the becoming, the unshakable belief that when the moment comes, you'll show up not by accident, not by luck, but by design. And it is that belief that changes lives. Yours. And everyone watching. Because when someone sees you disciplined, they see what's possible. They see what happens when a human takes full ownership of their hours, their habits, their hunger. You become a walking permission slip for everyone who forgot how powerful they are. Discipline isn't just for you. It's through you, for your family, for your circle, for generations to come. It is a legacy not carved in stone, but in rhythm. And that rhythm begins now. So take the reins. Take the responsibility. Take the vision out of your mind and put it in your hands. And don't let go, not when it's hard, not when it's quiet, not when it's lonely. Because this is how legends are built. Not overnight, not in hype, but in habits. This is how respect is earned, not through what you say, but through what you repeatedly do. And if you do it long enough, fierce enough, faithfully enough, one day the world will stop asking if you're serious. They'll already know. Because by then, the evidence will be undeniable. Not in what you promised, in what you produced. Not in what you intended, in what you finished. Not in the bursts of inspiration, but in the relentless follow-through. This is the truth that discipline teaches you success. Is not something you catch, it's something you become. It doesn't show up in a lightning strike. It shows up in a million small moments where you could have quit and didn't. Discipline is the quiet contract between you and your future. Signed in sweat, sealed with consistency, delivered in transformation. And if you honor it, if you keep showing up, something incredible begins to happen. You stop needing motivation. You stop waiting for the mood to be right. You stop second-guessing your mission. You become the kind of person who simply does what needs to be done. And that's the rarest kind of freedom, the freedom to trust yourself. Because the truth is, Discipline doesn't just build dreams. It builds trust, self-trust. And when you trust yourself, you move differently. You speak with weight. You walk with clarity. You make decisions like someone who's already seen the mountaintop because in your heart you have. And nothing rattles that. Not the setbacks, not the critics, not the quiet seasons when no one's watching, because you're no longer performing, you're becoming. And becoming is unstoppable. Becoming is eternal. That's the gift discipline gives you: a life that compounds, a character that deepens, a legacy that speaks long after you're gone. So wherever you are, in your journey, beginner or veteran, rising or rebuilding, know this: discipline isn't something you find, it's something you choose. And the moment you choose it, really choose it, everything changes. Because that's the day you stop hoping and you start building. And once you start building, you realize something the world never told you: that the struggle isn't your enemy, it's your initiation. Every time you resist the urge to quit, every time you act without applause, every time you push forward when it would be easier to pull back, you are passing a test. Not a test the world gives, a test you give. A test to see if your word means something. A test to see if your vision is stronger than your weakness. A test to see if you are willing to be forged in fire, because nothing lasting is made in comfort. Steel doesn't strengthen without heat. Diamonds don't form without pressure. And you don't rise without resistance. That resistance isn't in the way, it is the way. Because discipline is not just about performance. It's about purification. It strips away the noise. It cuts through the lies. It shows you who you really are. When it's hard, when it's lonely, when it's inconvenient. And that version of you, the one who keeps going, that's the one who was buried underneath layers of doubt and delay. But now, finally, you've met them, and you will never go back. You'll never again confuse rest with quitting. You'll never again let your emotions steer the ship. You'll never again break your own word and pretend it didn't matter. Because now, it does matter. Now, every choice counts. Every early morning, every clean meal, every no to temptation, every yes to something hard. They are all investments, deposits into the account of your future. And one day you will wake up and realize you are living in the dividends of that discipline. You are walking through doors that once terrified you. You are keeping promises you once avoided. You are inspiring people who once pitied you. Not because you were lucky, but because you earned it one disciplined day at a time. And when that day comes, when the gap between who you are and who you used to be is no longer a crack but a canyon, you'll understand. This was never about just being better. This was about becoming undeniable. Not to others, to yourself. Because the real reward of discipline isn't the money, the title, the physique, or the applause. It's the unshakable belief that you can trust yourself to do hard things. And that belief, it rewires your destiny. It redefines your limits. It transforms every obstacle into opportunity, every delay into training, every failure into foundation. Discipline doesn't just make you stronger, it makes you sovereign. No longer tossed around by impulse. No longer chained to comfort. No longer waiting for the perfect mood to move. You move anyway. And that's the kind of movement that builds momentum. That's the kind of consistency that silences doubt. That's the kind of identity that builds empires, not made of stone, but of standards. Standards that say, I don't break under pressure, I rise. I don't follow my feelings, I lead them. I don't lower the bar, I become it. And from that place, that grounded, fearless, unshakable place, you begin to create, not from reaction, not from desperation, but from power. Power rooted in routine. Power carved from commitment. Power born from discipline. And that power, once forged, can never be taken from you because you didn't borrow it. You built it. And now it's yours. So stand tall, not because it's easy, but because it's earned. Stand in the fire of your habits, your hours, your hunger, and let them shape you into someone the world cannot ignore. Let discipline be your compass. Let integrity be your weapon. Let consistency be your anthem. And when the storms come, and they will, you will not bend. You will not break, because you were not built for ease. You were built for excellence. Now go out there and become it.